Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of The Walking Dead. A great season finale. Go ahead and talk about right from the beginning. Nothing in this season finale played out the way I was expecting it to. It was just kind of like, wait, what? Again and again, just these different twists and turns, and I really appreciate that. Obviously, Alexandria, like our main protagonists are heading into the Savior's trap. It's like a trap within a trap within a trap type of situation. Obviously, you had the whole thing going on with Morgan, which I thought was kind of interesting. Still kind of got that, like, he has to kill situation, which, interestingly enough, first time I found this out, didn't even realize it. The actor who plays Morgan, Lenny James, British actor. Had no idea until I saw a preview and he's talking to his accent. I'm like, what? It's like, dude, every time you turn around, you find out someone else in the show. Like, I think I brought it up earlier this season, but like finding out that the actor who plays Jesus is also British too. So it's just one thing after another. It's like, what actor in this show is actually American? And it's like, oh, you're so good at your damn accents. Nevertheless, he said something I thought was kind of pretty interesting between him and Rick. Is like, me and you, we're worse than we were before. Like, we had how we handle things. Yeah, we not have always handled things, but it's like where we are right now, we are so much worse because of especially what Rick did to that group. It's like, oh, he gave them his word, because this is our first time really seeing Rick do that, give someone his word and then go back on it. Like, Rick did that before and then Daryl killed someone. It's like, what are you doing? I gave him my word. But it's like Daryl didn't care, which is going to play into what I'm going to discuss later on. So nevertheless, it's so interesting when it's all like said and done, like the attack and everything. Even that didn't go the way I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a humongous, like, drawn out battle and bloodbath, but it wasn't the bloodbath I thought it was. Yeah, there were some deaths mainly on the Savior's side. I didn't really see, mainly on the Savior's side, because they didn't have any other weapons besides guns, because your boy Eugene was playing the long game. And then not the long game, because it seems like from his conversations with Rosita, it was just like only after their conversation that he was inspired to do this. So it made him kind of look at things from a different point of view and kind of appreciate the fact is that these people were his friends and he betrayed them and everything, and what part he had to play in all of this. So I was like, especially because you had Negan with that gun at the back of Gabriel's head. But I guess that's why Eugene was so hard on him, especially he's like, where's your fate gotten you now? It's kind of like, I guess because he was trying to make sure that putting up, I guess, enough of a front to kind of get Gabriel to kind of fall in line. It's like, until it's time to move, don't move. But it's just so interesting. I guess it kind of fits in it too, because Gabriel was always kind of searching, like, oh, he thought he was supposed to be where he's supposed to be, and I guess it was. I guess because of him being because he ultimately ended up playing a role too, because it's because of his failed attempt at trying to sabotage the bullets. That's what inspired Eugene to basically do that whole situation. I'm like, and literally every Savior that was there, the guns kind of like bat fired on him. It's kind of happened. So I guess that kind of feeds into the whole, like, well, Gabriel following his fate. Like, he thought like, oh, he was supposed to be doing this, but I guess it's one of those things of like, maybe he kind of walked away from it being like, now I see so much more, because it's like, I thought I was supposed to be doing this. I thought I was immediately doing, but it's like, no, you sent me on this path to basically lead to things kind of playing out the way that they did. So it's just kind of interesting that it did play out like that. You also had that story between Sadiq and Rick, when he told Rick like what happened with Carl, and it's like, oh, Carl did that to honor my mom, a lady he didn't even know, because someone else had that same mentality. I swear there was someone earlier in the show that had that same mentality, like killing the dead. No, that was Herschel. Herschel would lock up the dead because he believed that they would, their souls were standing there, because he was a religious man, so him and his family. So I guess that kind of fed into it a little bit. So I think that's who I was thinking of. So along those kind of same lines. And it's like, I think for him, that's why he appreciates Carl and wants to honor Carl even more, because it's like, even something as simple as that, just showing me that I could trust him. He went out of his way to do something he didn't have to do. And just, that touched Sadiq. And I think hearing that like really hit Rick, to make him see like what kind of man his son was, It's like, you have this idea, like he already knows that his son was a good man, but I think hearing that even more kind of like affirmed it even more, So Then you also had the whole conversation with Jesus with the whole Morgan situation of like Morgan doesn't have to kill because he's like, oh, it's almost like a conundrum. You kill people to keep people safe, but then at the same time you're putting yourself in danger, and that means that you want to be around to keep people safe, almost like kind of like a kind of an endless loop type of, well, like you said, conundrum. And so he told Morgan to kind of, instead of use one end to kill walkers, the other to kind of spare people's lives, which we saw him kind of implement that. So like I said, that whole conversation with him and Rick, I think it did kind of put things in more perspective. Like he isn't, I feel like Morgan is slowly getting there to being okay. It's still a long road ahead, but I think slowly he is getting there. So I love Carol being like, Jesus, I think I'm starting to like that guy. And to no surprise, you did also have Oceanside showing up, throwing Molotovs. I thought this pretty neat because you had the people, the Hilltop saviors coming back, and they were like, hey, like, you know, Tara's like, okay, I'm gonna keep them busy. And they're like, nah, we got your back. But Aaron showed up with Oceanside and it's like, yeah. Didn't have their weapons, but they sure came armed. So that was kind of neat. But going back to it, like, obviously, the biggest kick in the teeth is, like, how everything... Like I said, I was so certain that this finale was going to be, like, a bloodbath, like, deaths on all... Like I said, it seems like Alexandria walked away pretty unscathed. Saviors kind of lost some people, but it's like they surrendered and they accepted it, which is kind of interesting, and a lot of people are okay with it. And then came the Rick and Negan showdown. It's like, oh, fighting. But then Rick is like, no, don't. This just 10 seconds. This isn't what Carl was like. We don't have to fight. And Negan kind of lets his guard down. I was like, oh, wow, this might... And then Rick slices his throat. I'm like, what? I was like, oh man, I was like, that sucks, dude. I was like, that was so close. Which I think on some level Rick probably felt shitty about it too, because it's like, I'm using the memory of my son to kind of make an enemy lower their guard so I can kill them. And then he's just kind of like, oh, Carl didn't know a damn thing, because he was like, he actually thought that this would end any other way than one of us being dead, essentially, you know? Which Negan was 100% sure it was going to be Rick that was going to walk away from this dead. He even talked about, I thought it was kind of interesting, the whole like, oh yeah, basically season 6's finale, the whole pick any, meeny, miny, mo. He's like, honestly, that wasn't a thing. I literally already knew who I was going to kill. Like, I didn't want to kill a kid in front of their dad, which is, you know, in retrospect, it's kind of like, well, to be fair, you indirectly kind of did that when you killed Glenn, because I mean, like I said, it's a whole situation, but it's like not wanting to kill a dad in front of the kid. It's like, kind of already did that, but you know, whatever, you know. But what really surprised me, you saw Rick kind of looking. I was like, oh man, I was like, damn, that sucks. You see everyone looking at him. I'm like, oh man, that sucks that he's just gonna let Negan die. But Negan is still kind of, you could see him kind of blinking a little bit. I'm like, oh, he's still alive. I guess we're just gonna leave him. And he tells Sadiq, fix him up. I'm like, what? You even have Maggie being like, no, he has to die. What are you talking about? I was like, oh shit. Legitimately, for multiple reasons. One, I've said it the entire season, I was so certain it was going to end with Rick like bashing Negan's head in with Lucille. I was so certain that was going to be it. And then it's like, oh, cut to the throat. Okay. And then on top of that, you're actually saving him. It's like, whoa, because I didn't think Carl's words would reach him. But like I said, it's a culmination of everything, the conversation. Finally having read Carl's letter plus talking to Morgan and kind of hearing that about himself. It's like they become like the worst versions of themselves, because it's like, oh, we lost everything. But it's like, we haven't lost everything, you know? That we still have stuff that we have here to fight for. And that kind of resonated more, with Rick. Obviously not as much so with Morgan at the time, but still. Maggie is still crying, like, we need to kill him, but it's like, no, it's like, this isn't how we have to be. Yeah, like, we've lost so much, but the fact of the matter is we have to fight and live for more. There has to be more. Kind of looking at the whole large crowd of walkers is like, that's them, we are us. The fact of the matter is, like, if you want to live in a world of fairness and like trying to come together and understand one another, common ground, then this world is yours. He's like, because if you want to come after us about this whole situation, he's like, it will not end good for you. And I'm like, wow. And just Maggie being held back by Michonne, and everyone's just kind of okay with even telling the saviors, lower your arms. It's like, when you guys go back home and we all get ready, like, because for now when we're coming at this together, I was like, that surprised, and I'm glad that it surprised me. I wanted this to happen. Like I said, it's just like, because it's what Carl wanted, and I think because it's a situation, it's a slippery slope, because I believe if he did kill Negan, I don't think there would be any coming back from him. I do believe he'd be going down the same route as Morgan, that like, you just have this endless need to kill, but there has to be more beyond the kill, because then you'll just be stuck like Morgan, seeing ghosts everywhere, you know, so... And I think, like I said, I think, you know, what Morgan brought up about what he did to those saviors, giving them his word and then immediately killing them, I think that kind of probably sat in his mind too. That's kind of weighing around in his conscience. So we have all these different groups. Notice we didn't actually see Oceanside, which I'm kind of going to get to that soon enough. But for what, I mean, maybe we did. Maybe we've seen some people in here and there from Oceanside, but I feel like we would have seen like the main people from Oceanside, but I feel like we did. But nevertheless, we see like all these different groups coming together. You have Carol going back to the kingdom, which I'm like, yo, really quickly, I love that little thing between Ezekiel and Jerry, where Jerry was like, we ain't gonna lose shit. But Ezekiel's kind of like, no, it isn't like, you know, me being pessimistic, whatever. And Jerry's like, ain't shit gonna happen. He's like, Jerry. And they look at each other and they smile and kind of like bump fists. I'm like, yeah. I thought that was kind of it's so good, dude. Them all coming together, even have Morgan telling Jadis that she can come back, which I'm very interested about that, because obviously Jadis knows some shit that we don't know about. Because once again, there's that whole thing with Negan where it's like, what the hell was that helicopter thing about? Which we never got an answer to, so maybe that's going to be something that once Jadis becomes a part of that group, she'll probably inform them, like, yeah, there's this whole other thing. So, which I'm wondering, does that play any part in Morgan's story, the whole, like, helicopter thing? I mean, like I said, I'm sure it comes back in set times. Obviously, there's a whole Fear the Walking Dead situation, which I'm not talking about or watching, simply because I have not watched the show yet. So it's like, why jump into something I don't know? So I have to go back before I can. It's a whole thing, obviously. So I am curious to know like what that means for Morgan, like once he goes down that route. Because I do know that Morgan is dead in the comic books. To be fair, I don't know at what point in his story he is. So I am curious, like, did he die under these circumstances or what exactly in the comic books, you know? So, but nevertheless, maybe that's tied into it, because it seems like he's staying at the junkyard, just because he needs to be separated from people, because he can't be all about that, because I think from Morgan, it's like, I need to be away from people because I need to fix me and be a better me before I can be around other people again. It seems like even in the previews for Fear the Walking Dead, it does seem like he is still trying to be isolated. Gets caught up and meet up with other people, but it does seem like he is trying to be isolated. Because I was actually surprised by Maggie being so calm, because at first she was kind of like, the dude that's with the Saviors is like, yo, dude, can I stay here? Like, you know, I don't feel like I belong there anymore. It's like, I just want to be here. I can help, you know, build like what they got from that other group on like how to kind of build a society essentially. And then she's like, okay. I'm like, oh, like on some level I thought you were going to become pissed at him, but like I know most of your rage is towards Negan and everything. But going like really quickly, I like what their plans for Negan is. So it's like, oh, you're gonna be locked up in a cell. You're going to be the example of like kind of like, this is not what the best example of what not to be. We're not going to be like you. We're not going to try and get people underneath our boot. So you're going to be locked away and you're going to rot away. And you're going to watch as we build this world, show you what people really are all about, show you what life is really all about. And that for once that you actually can be worth something, which is that. Because I think, you know, Negan does what he's done, built all this around himself because he is egotistical. The whole like, oh, I'm Negan, we're Negan type of thing. So it's like, because for him, it's always kind of like, even if I die, there will always be me, the idea of me, like my idea is what's going to be the one that fights and survives this world. But it's like, you lost. Everyone, what the world that you tried to build, this group that you tried to build crumbled. And now you have this new world that they are building, you know? You had the whole situation with Daryl letting Dwight go, which I was kind of like, I didn't know which way that was going to go. Much like the Negan situation, but I was kind of like, oh, you're gonna let him go. Like Rosita was like, oh yeah, Rosita kind of got Eugene back. It's like punching, smiling at him, walking away, and then punching him in the face. It's like, that's for vomiting. He's like, okay, that's fair play on that. So that's kind of neat. Like I said, I am curious at what point in time it was like on, because I feel like it was that moment that really kind of set everything in motion, was like Daryl and Rosita. But maybe he had that plan. I want to give him the credit, be like, oh, he's been thinking about this while even like Pat back during the Sasha situation, because obviously he helped out Gabriel kind of escape with the doc, so that kind of makes you go, maybe back then too. Like there was lingering bits of it, but definitely I think Rosita's conversation with him really set him like in motion to do what he's done. So, like I said, glad he was able to redeem himself. I was like, oh, come on, Eugene, don't be a dick. And it's like, oh man, he's full forward on this. It's like, yeah. It's still one of those things of like, well, can you completely forgive someone for everything they've done? To be fair, Tara did the same thing for Dwight, and it seems Daryl hasn't necessarily forgiven Dwight, but Dwight was kind of like, I'm a piece of shit. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I saw Negan get taken down, not die, taken down, so that's all that matters. But, Daryl lets him go and is like, go find your wife and set things right. He's like, if I see you again, then I'll kill you. So, which, like, all that is so interesting. Going to the main thing that we're leaving from the season with, and that's the whole situation with Maggie, Jesus, and Daryl. Maggie's like, yeah, Rick was right about the saviors, not about Negan. And it's like, she's like, we're going to bide our time. We're going to get stronger. I'm like, are you talking about taking down? And it's like, yeah, she's like, Rick and Michonne are wrong, and we're going to show them. It's like, these are your friends and your allies. What the fuck does that mean for the rest of Hilltop? Like, I know this isn't like the easiest transition for a lot of people, but it's like, oh, it's crazy. And it's kind of like sad, because I'm curious, because I wonder, are we going to see, like, I think we're definitely going to be seeing a darker side than Maggie, because we saw bits of it here and there, because being so focused on her revenge, that is all she can see. And I think that's kind of that's going to be something we see represent in the future, because we have Rick kind of turning things around, trying to lead by Carl's example, because he's like, he'd forgotten who he was after everything that had happened, and it took Carl to kind of remind him, like, yo, this is who I am. I want you to be the man that you wanted me to be, It's like the man that, like, that's kept me from, like, because, Carl always kind of, at one point kind of strayed, but then, like, Rick always trying to be like, be a good person, like, that stuck, and, and Carl wanted to be like his dad, and he's like, my dad's a good person. I want to be like my dad. That's why he idolized his dad so much, because his dad, yeah, things weren't always easy, may not always seem like he made the right choices, but Rick always kind of ultimately did kind of the right humane thing, essentially. I'm not explaining myself well, so I do apologize. But it's like, I wasn't expecting it. And especially got Jesus kind of there smiling and being okay. I'm like, what? You were literally just telling Morgan not to kill people. And why? Like, I guess for him, it's just kind of like, Negan needs to die. Like, what's up with that? That seems like a complete 180 from your character. Like, you're all about saving lives and stuff like that. But I guess it's kind of like neat. Like, I don't know. Not unless he's playing along and just been like, okay. And why Daryl too? Like, after everything you and Rick have been through, I guess for him it's just kind of like, nah, Negan doesn't deserve to live. I guess it's like, because that's the same thing like Tara was saying about Dwight. It's like, you want to kill him? You want to kill him because if you want to do it, you're going to do it for you. It's not about anything else. And maybe for Daryl and for Maggie, that they're okay with that. But like I said, I'm curious to see where the Hilltop is. Like, when this is all said and done, these groups came together and they were like okay with this decision. But is Hilltop going to be like, we're not okay with this decision because Rick made it for us instead of like us making this together? I mean, everyone had a chance to walk away from this if they didn't really want to be a part of it. I mean, let's not forget Gregory is still part of the equation. So it's like, yo, like, what's he going to say about this? Like, I mean, I'm sure Maggie's still gonna have him locked up and everything, but I don't know. But that just kind of, I was like, oh, so are we setting up a main antagonist? And it's like, oh yeah, potentially Maggie in them. And the thing is, I was bringing up earlier, like, maybe there were people from Oceanside sprinkled in, like, that I wasn't noticing. But the main thing is, like, let's not forget Oceanside wanted to fight to kill Negan and the Saviors, so maybe they might be the ones that kind of join Hilltop. I'm like, that's crazy. And the thing is, like, that means Maggie's going to be biding her time. Like, she's just waiting. It's like, oh, playing playing along until it's time for her to strike. Like, does that mean, what would she do? Does that mean just to prove your point, you'd be willing to kill Michonne and Rick? I don't think so. It probably just turned into a situation that either you give us Negan or we're going to fight our way through. It's like after all this, you turn on your allies, your friends, like especially like after everything you've been through, like with Rick. You've been together since season 2, but at the same time, it's like the moment I needed you to do something for him, because she was thankful when Rick went after Negan before. It's like, thank you, like, you know, for attempting to get him, you know? And it's like, for her, like, revenge is kind of all that motivated her. Like, it's the same thing as Rick, but the thing is, Rick didn't let it completely consume him, and I think Maggie has. Which, even then, I kind of feel like every savior, none of them are safe, because I feel like at any point in time, she might just sacrifice him. Interesting enough, that was kind of an interesting thing, too. I completely forgot to talk about was the whole Negan sacrificing his people like that. That's super sad. Like I said, overall, like a great finale, but that still just kind of leaves me wondering, like, what does that mean going forward about Maggie? Because I do know, because I'm curious in certain regards, like, because I am not familiar with the comic books. I know a little bit here and there about certain things that happen in comic book because of, Google, but that's only character deaths. I don't know too much about the story and, like, you know, stuff like that. So I don't know if Negan's dead in the comic books or not. Because, you know, once again, like, most recent example, and there have been plenty of examples I've talked about, but the most recent one obviously being Carl. Live in quote unquote well, because I know, like, you know, some people get super messed up. Because I remember, was it Ryan from Achievement Hunter, like a while back, was I forgot what video it was exactly, but he was referencing like the Walking Dead comic books about how like Rick is in terrible condition, in particular, like when it comes to the hand department. It's like he's pretty roughed up in the comic books, and I'm like, he's still in pretty good condition. I also do like that it kind of had like a media res type of situation of like every time, because every time I kept thinking when it was cutting to Rick crying, like underneath that reflective glass, I was like, the moment I saw that, I was like, wait, isn't this? Oh, wait, so it's like they're circling back to this like place. It's like, and Rick's not mentioning it. It's like, oh, because that was the future and didn't even realize it. I was like, that's so interesting. Like, I knew it's the future, but I thought that was like, because I'm an idiot, because at the time I guess I kept associating it with Carl. Like, either like when I first saw it, it's like, oh, I thought that's where he buried someone. Like, oh, this is after he lost so much. And I was like, well, this particular moment is him representing like crying about like all he lost, you know, and it's like having to do such a hard thing of letting Negan live like that. Probably one of the hardest things he's ever had to do. But you know, at one point in time, I was thinking like, no, that's where he's buried Carl. But it's like, no, because Carl's buried in Alexandria. So I was like, I just thought, and then at another point, I just chalked it up to be, I know that's just where he went after Carl died, and it just kind of needed. But it's like, no, we kind of saw where he was the entire time. I was like, I guess I don't know, like I never associated. It's like, oh, that's like way in the future. Like basically, that was them spoiling the end of the season with that scene. So like, media res, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Other things to kind of look forward to going forward, because I do believe this is going to renew for a 9th season. I think there were already talks about season 9 even before this finale, like well in advance. I was watching on something else, so I believe it's coming back for a 9th season. I already kind of, I guess, I don't know. At least I'm hoping it is. There's that group, I'm kind of blanking on her name, but the group who gave all that stuff to, God, I'm blanking, Maggie. That group, what's her name? Georgia. She was kind of like, oh, when it's all said and done, you know, kind of keep things full circle. So I'm sure we're going to be running into that group more potentially in the future. Who else are we going to run into? Also probably going to be taking out that large army of walkers heading that way. I don't know. Maybe it won't be. I'm curious to see, will it pick up immediately after, or are we going to do like a hard, good, like couple months? I think the show usually does that. There's some exceptions, you know, like obviously between season 6 and 7, it was like, no, that was like literally coinciding at the same time while also kind of being like minutes apart. You know, you get what I'm saying in certain aspects. So I'm curious to see what they do about it. It'd be kind of interesting if they did do kind of like a harder like time skip, like the dream Carl had. You know, like Maggie did say like we need to take time to build up and rest and get our strength back. So it could be like a very long game that they're playing. So ultimately, we'll just have to wait and see. Also, to see if this world that Rick strives so hard to try and build out, will it work out the way? I mean, obviously, there's going to be some bumpy roads ahead, but obviously going to meet different characters and groups potentially in the future, like the one I was bringing up earlier. Like I said, also dealing with the fact is that waiting for Maggie, Daryl, and Jesus' betrayal. Like I said, I'm curious who else is going to be on board with that, or not. So a lot of stuff, just kind of putting it out there. We'll ultimately have to wait and see how it all plays out potentially in the future with the potential ninth season. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.